I have wondered about this for like 15 years.
Welcome back to Podigious. This is episode 2. We're covering the first arc of Digimon Adventure this week, covering episodes 1 through 8. That's the first section of the Devimon arc, covering up to Devimon's introduction. And as always, I'm your host, Jeff Ruberg, joined by Ashley McDonald.
Hi.
And Asher Softman.
What up?
First of all, I have some corrections and feedback from the first episode. The episode you're listening to now was recorded a couple weeks ago, but I'm doing some time traveling. First of all, thank you to everyone who listened to that episode and is listening to it again now. I guess you have to be if you're hearing this. A lot more people listen than we ever expected, so thank you very much to everyone. And we're also on iTunes now. We weren't when the first episode launched, so if you listen to podcasts on iTunes, you should subscribe to us there and rate us if you want to. I really appreciate that. So for some corrections, I mentioned last week that Hunters was a spin-off of the 6th season of Digimon Cross Wars, and that's not true. It was always intended to be part of season 6. There's some confusion about that. And also I referred to the title as the Hunter Boys Who Left Through Time when it's actually the Young Hunters Who Left Through Time. I was trying to make a connection to the movie The Girl Who Left Through Time, which has a similar title in Japanese. There's basically shoujo is replaced with shonen hantatachi. And the reason I thought it was interesting, the connection to The Girl Who Left Through Time, is that movie was directed by Mamoru Hosoda, which I mentioned his name and didn't explain that he directed an episode of Adventure, the one where Tai returns home, and also the 2 Digimon Adventure movies. We also mentioned that Chike's name differed in the dub, and it turns out his name is Takeru in the dub and in the original Japanese. Chike is introduced as a nickname for Takeru dub. Yeah, so those are our corrections. Both of those come from Inpu on the With the Will forums, so thank you for those corrections. We appreciate any feedback like that.
Okay, I'm going to dive into a quick summary of the episodes just to jog everyone's memory, in case you haven't seen it in 15 years. All right, so in episode 1, and so it begins, we meet the kids at camp before they're pulled into the digital world and meet their in-training Digimon partners. The kids are chased by an aggressive Kuwagumon before the Digimon all digivolve to their rookie forms to defend them. In episode 2, The Birth of Greymon, the kids make their way to a beach, where they find mysterious and inoperable telephone booths. They are attacked by an aggressive Shellmon before Agumon digivolves to Greymon. In episode 3, Garurumon, the kids find a deserted trolley car on an island in the middle of a lake and make their camp for the first night. They're awoken when they accidentally enrage a Siegimon in the lake, and Gabumon digivolves to Garurumon to defend Matt. In episode 4, Biyomon gets firepower. The kids make their way to a village of Yokomon, which is soon attacked by a black gear inflicted Meramon. Biyomon digivolves to Bergamon to defend Sora and the village, and they destroy the black gear, calming Meramon. In episode 5, Kabutarimon's Electroshocker, the kids explore an abandoned factory where they are chased by a black-geared Andromon. Izzy is able to trigger Tentamon's digivolution to Kabutarimon, who destroys the black gear. In episode 6, Togemon in Toy Town, the kids are separated and taken prisoner under hypnosis by Monzaimon in Toy Town, except for Mimi and Palmon. They face off against Monzaimon, and with the help of several Mimi-worshipping Numemon and Palmon's digivolution to Togemon, destroy Monzaimon's black gear. In episode 7, Ikakumon's Harpoon Torpedo, the kids walk to the base of Infinity Mountain. They argue over their next move before Joe and Gomamon climb up on their own in the night to scout. When they're attacked by Unimon and Gomamon digivolves to Ikakumon to destroy the gear. In episode 8, Evil shows his face. After reaching the top of Infinity Mountain, the kids meet Ogremon and Leomon, recently possessed by Devimon.
They find a mansion on the way down and gorge themselves on food and relax.
Until Devimon reveals the mansion to be an illusion, breaks File Island into several pieces, and scatters the children among them. Tai's Digivice breaks Devimon's hold on Leomon, but Leomon himself lets himself get possessed again to buy time for Tai to escape. All right.
The TLDR version of that would be everyone gets to champion level except for TK. The end.
True facts.
And there's lots of stuff.
And they complain a lot.
And they talk about food a lot.
They do.
And they talk about how they miss home a lot.
Not as much as I would have expected.
Right?
In the beginning it wasn't, but then there were like 3 or 4 episodes in a row where they talked about it every episode. Like there was an obligatory moment. There's an obligatory scene every episode where they had to talk about it. I think to remind the viewers that they were from, like, if you caught it, if like episode 7 was your first episode, to just remind you that they're from the real world. I don't know.
Well, it's also, they were a little bit more secure in their safety at that point because they knew that their Digimon could digivolve, so they had time to worry about things like missing home instead of being eaten.
Sure. I think they first do it in the sewers, so it's not like they're, I don't know, it's not the most secure place.
And then they get pooped thrown at them.
I was hoping we weren't going to talk about that.
You were really hoping we weren't going to talk about poop in Digimon?
Okay, I wrote it down as notes, and then I purposely deleted my notes on them.
Well, we don't have to talk about it yet, but by the end of season 1, we're going to talk a lot about poop.
Yeah. Ashley, you want to talk about the gender dynamics?
Actually, why doesn't Ashley start this one?
Okay.
Why don't I start this one?
Yes.
Okay.
I can start it if you don't want to.
I mean, I was just within like 2 minutes of the show, Tai introduces Sora as she's okay for a girl. And I'm just,
Yeah.
I mean, all of Tai's introductions have some qualifier to them. Like, they're cool, except not. Not really. And I just feel like, yeah, they're very inconsistent with their showings of Sora and Mimi. Like, Sora's supposed to be cool. She's kind of shown as, like, below Tai and Matt. She's, like, third string awesomeness or something. But then in all her scenes, like, when she's thinking about home, they, like, show her missing doing laundry. I'm like, really? You miss doing chores?
I didn't think about
Laundry?
that.
Yeah.
Like, that's
didn't
visually
notice that.
what they show is her hanging up, like,
Yeah.
sheets or something.
I guess it made sense because it was like, it feels like a very nostalgic and like pleasant smell. Like I could envision that, even though I never hung laundry outside.
And honestly, this is a thing that plagues Sora throughout both season 1 and season 2. I mean, we're going to be talking about this a
Really?
lot. I
But
feel.
it makes her career as a fashion designer make more sense because all she wanted to do was fold laundry.
Yeah.
No. It
Okay,
doesn't.
I actually have more to talk about Tai's introduction.
Yeah, go for it.
And so he says about Sora that she's okay for a girl, like Ashley mentioned. And Mimi, he says, I bet you can guess her favorite color, because I guess she's shown in pink, which I couldn't really tell because I'm colorblind.
He's always wearing pink and purple.
That wasn't obvious to me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I thought about that line, or those lines a lot. And in some way, it makes a lot of sense for Tai to feel that way, to say those things, because that's how a boy his age would treat that. And I think it's interesting, Tai's characterization of everyone else, it characterizes him too. You know, like,
Oh,
he
yeah,
introduces everyone
sure.
else, and it also shows you that, you know, he isn't open to these people in certain ways and shows his biases.
That he's
Yeah.
a jerk.
But then I wonder, like, is that bad for the, like, because then it skews the audience, and
Yeah,
I don't know.
it
But then I
does.
couldn't think of any other ways where they, like, how could they do it without having one of the
Well,
characters?
No, I mean, I'm okay with Ty's introductions showing what he thinks of the kids and, you know, having a 10 or 11-year-old boy's perspective on what girls are supposed to be like and what's fun to hang out with. But at the same time, like, the show itself doesn't do a great job of portraying either of them as consistent, fully developed characters,
Yeah.
particularly Mimi.
Yeah, oh my god. She's just like, I'm like, oh, she's not as ditzy? No, she definitely, oh, maybe not. Oh, I don't know anymore. Like,
Do we want to go full Mimi now?
sure, we'll go Mimi.
I'm so happy.
I think you mean we'll go full Mimi.
We're going full Mimi here.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that is the dub putting
Yeah.
stuff in that isn't actually there. Because a lot of it, you don't actually see Mimi say it. It's, you know, when they're panning up and Mimi just has some comment on a mall or shoes or something. And it's to fill the empty space and to remind everyone, oh yeah, Mimi's the girly girl.
Yeah, I'm thinking specifically of episode, I don't know what episode it was, 2 or 3, when they're on the little island thing. And they're
Episode
like,
3.
we need a compass or whatever. And then she's like, they're like, oh, what does Mimi have in this giant bag that she's been carrying around? Makeup. And then she's like, I have a compass and like other useful things. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, and then
But the thing is, she has a compass, and then later refers to it as a clock that lost its numbers.
yeah, like
Wait, when does that happen?
that
So it's when they're in the desert, and she shows him the compass and is like, "Here's my clock that lost numbers." And then Izzy sees it and is like, "Oh, it's weird because it doesn't point north anymore, and it because of the metal in the sand,
yeah.
and it gets this It reminded me of Lost, especially then, because it's like, oh no, we're on this weird island and compasses don't point north anymore.
I thought they had also commented in episode 3 that it was broken.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They might have. I don't remember.
Not that they're consistent with the information they provide you.
No, they are not. But yeah, like, why would Mimi have those things if she didn't know how they worked? I really wish I had a chance to watch the sub and see if she actually knows how they work in the original.
Well, I mean, they are supposed to be at camp. You know, it could just be that she's supposed to have, like, everyone's supposed to have the supplies. But then why doesn't everyone else?
Yeah, why would she be the one who would have kept them?
Well, she is supposed to be the one who was carrying Joe's bag that day.
But Joe is carrying Joe's bag.
But
that stuff's not in his bag.
Yeah, no. It doesn't really make any sense.
But I love Mimi. I love her more now than I ever did. I didn't like her as a kid. And I think we were socialized not to like her because we're socialized not to value girly things.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciated her more watching it now.
Yeah. And there's a lot of subtle things that she does that are different from the other kids that are actually really great. In episode 1, she's the only one that actually allows Tanimon to try to fight.
Oh yeah, I remember noting that, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's awesome."
And isn't Tanimon also the only one who's rational about it? Like everyone else is like, "We need to fight."
And Tanimon's pretty calm about it. Palamon's really great. And what else did she do? Mimi gives Palamon her hat at one point, and nobody else takes care of their Digimon yet.
Well, Sunamon is always carried by Matt.
Okay, but he's Sunamon for one episode. Oh, sorry.
That's a dog.
She also tells Ty to suck it up and eat birdseed because it would be rude not to. When at the Yokomon village, she tells him to do it.
She's the only one that's actually like, yeah, whatever, just eat it. It's rude not to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm very disgusted now about everyone's treatment of her in episode 6, which is the Togemon one. The Numamon, why? Just why?
Oh yeah.
Why? Why does it have to be about how cute she is? And also TK in episode 2, TK's talking to Mimi, and Mimi's like, "Hey, can you share your snacks with me?" And he's like, "Of course. Isn't she cute?"
Oh yeah.
He's like, "Yo."
He's already been socialized to think of girls that way,
right? He's like 8.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much that's like. I mean, it's weird to use that language at the same. But I feel like that felt that ring true to me. That like a little kid is just like, oh, this girl is nice to me. I'm going to like be happy about it and treat them nicely. I didn't think it was actually like, you know,
I thought
she is physically attractive.
What I thought was weird about it was that he turned away from her to tell Matt that she was cute. It was very much an objectifying moment.
Yeah. And it's like, even if he meant it innocently, the way Jeff is implying, it still shows that our culture, like, indoctrinates that behavior is okay, when it's not necessarily okay, just because people have taught you that it is.
On the other hand, I'm glad that so far, it hasn't really been about how Mimi is so sweet, everyone wants to do everything for her. I mean, you get a little bit of that with the Numamon, but Togemon also is a
awesome.
brawler.
Yeah.
Togemon's a brawler. Yeah, she fights with her fists. None of the other Digimon do that.
Yeah, I would say that the idea of girls having to have stuff done for them is not really present in any of Digimon that I can recall.
No.
Well, disprove me.
You'll see later on in Digimon Adventure, actually.
Oh, with Kari?
With Mimi, actually. With Kari a bit, too. With Sora a very little bit. You see it with Kari also in season 2.
And people even, they fight over her too.
And then in Frontier, there's some of it. There's quite a bit of it, actually. Especially since there's only one girl in Frontier.
That girl ever important? Like,
I liked her, but everyone besides Koji and Takuya lost relevance after like the halfway point.
Yeah.
So eventually, no.
Okay, I take back my statement, but the lasting impression I had was not that. I mean, that there aren't problematic examples.
I would say it's problematic overall.
Yeah, and I guess it's also always true that every season even if a season has strong female characters, they're always one-upped, but like the main character is always male, and it's always everyone else loses relevance later on. And
there are also always more males.
Yeah.
Period. So even if you have different kinds of girls and different kinds of strengths, you don't have as many as the guys do. You don't have as many examples.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'll get into this later, actually, when we get into the crests, but Sora's character arc is very wobbly, I would say. And you see a little bit of it in episode, 4? Because looking at it, it looks more like she's sort of uncomfortable about how affectionate Biyomon is towards her, but her narration was something very strange.
It felt very bipolar about that.
Yeah, and I don't know if the dub was trying to play up this idea that Sora is a tomboy and therefore she's cool, because, I mean, her later character arc is about love, it's about protecting others, which is great. That's a kind of strength, too. It's sort of disappointing that both the girls only fight for that reason. It's sort of like, we're not on the front lines sort of deal for them.
Okay, group chemistry. So one thought I had about group chemistry was that it didn't, I want to get your ideas about this, but I didn't feel like there was a huge difference between how the kids interacted in the first episode and the end of this by the 8th episode. There were some things, like there were some pairings that didn't really exist, like Matt and Ty, weren't as combative with each other, but overall it did not feel like they're more of a team now.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Right now, I think, seems to be about bonding with their individual Digimon.
I guess so. I guess what threw me off and surprised me was that I forgot that when you first are introduced to them at their camp, that they're all together. They're already a group, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not supposed to have actually really known each other that long, but it was like I expected them to, run into each other and then get thrown in Digiworld. But instead, it's just like, oh, they're here. And they don't feel, I wasn't like, they're just meeting for the first time. It was like, oh yeah, they're here. They just don't have Digimon yet.
Well, there were also a lot of other kids at camp, and it's shown later on that Mimi has friends outside of this group. So it doesn't bother me that they don't really know each other that well yet. I figured it was...
But that's what seemed weird to me.
It was the first day of summer camp.
But what seemed weird to me is they didn't seem so unfamiliar. Like, I expected them to...
Because they'd already been introduced. It was like halfway through the first day of summer camp.
Yeah.
Have you never been to summer camp?
I have not, with six people, been transported to the digital world. Although I have been, when I've been at summer camp on August 1st, I'm always like, come on, snow, snow, snow. But
wow.
This was like 13 years ago.
I mean, it feels confusing because it feels both like they don't know each other very well, but also that Ty had already made all of these assumptions about them based on half a day of summer camp was strange. And I guess it's strange simply because his points are not proven, are relatively accurate still. Like, his stereotypes about them do prove true.
Well, actually, doesn't Ty already know Sora? I thought they were on the same soccer team.
Yeah, that might be it.
And he seemed to already... That was weird. He seemed to already know Joe, but I don't see how he would.
How did...
There was one... It's just a gut feeling I had at some point where he... It might have been in Joe's episode, where he turned to Joe and was like, okay, settle this for us. But
I think that was just him being there.
I mean, what's not apparent in the dub, at least, I'm not sure if it's different in Japanese, is that Joe is supposed to be the oldest and is supposed to, if they were actually at camp, he should be the one in charge.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's what that was, but...
I think so, too.
Okay, so...
I think it's also the perception that Joe is the most rational, overthinky one.
Rational is not the word I would use, but in the dub anyway, he's supposed to be, Mr. Reliable. But yeah, they're not a team yet.
That's what I would expect.
And then, spoilers for the next arc, but the next arc is about them coming together in small groups.
Yeah. I like the idea. It feels like when they're all together, they can't really develop anything. When they're split off, they can,
start to anyway.
Yeah, strengthen the certain bonds, and then.
Yeah.
But
each episode actually showed the different ways each character approaches a problem or a challenge. Ty runs right in.
Well, I find that interesting because the one thing that I noted down about anyone using what I thought was real strategy was Ty in the Andromon episode. He tells Agumon to knock things down onto Andromon.
I noticed that. I was like, oh, Ty's starting to show some leadership potential there because he's not really the leader yet.
Except he is.
I guess.
Well, we all know he's going to be because he's wearing the goggles and he's the first character to talk, but he's not really the leader yet.
Is he shown in when they walk off at the end in the episode 2? Isn't he in the middle though?
Probably.
Even if it's not obvious.
Matt is always fighting with him with explicit language about
It is.
you being the leader or whatever.
Yeah, so explicit.
That only happened once yet.
Really?
That happened in the episode with Joe. So that was a later. He hasn't really told anyone what they should do. And if he has, they haven't listened to him yet. So he's not the leader yet. Right now they're kind of aimlessly wandering because they keep getting chased out of wherever they are by Digimon.
Yeah, that's true. They are just wandering as a pack now.
And
yeah, I'm
so-
interested to see when that transformation happens.
I think it happens during the Edamon.
I think it
might start to happen towards the end of this one.
my recollection is that it really like isn't solidified in the Edamon arc, but then once everything falls apart when he leaves, then
Yeah.
once they come back together, then it's apparent.
Yeah.
But then they also split up again in Japan all the time, so
Yeah, but like they all feel, even when they're split up in Japan, they feel like a very coherent group. Like they have a center,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. It's different when they split up any time in the digital world.
that's true. Like they're stranded, whereas at home it's like, yeah, we just do things.
Yeah.
We were out.
They were able to keep in communication with one another.
Yeah, even though they didn't have cell phones. How do you guys feel about the animation so far?
It's laughable. That's why I laughed.
Thank you for explaining your
Yeah.
laughter.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about this. It was a quickly produced show for kids. In what year was this? Like 1999?
9?
Yeah.
I mean, looking at other stuff that came out around then, it's not that much better.
Do they know what to compare it to?
Pokemon had more budget, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I guess I'm most interested in comparisons to other seasons of Digimon.
Well, of course, this one sucks in comparison to other seasons of Digimon. Techniques improve, technology improves.
Yes, so.
And they got more money
Yeah.
because they became a franchise after this.
Yeah. Animation generally just improves if it's like, oh, clearly we made money off of this. Now we'll throw more money at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up with reasons why it's okay, maybe. We're justifying why the budget is bad and why that makes the animation bad. But I think we should just agree the animation is terrible. There's
They reuse backgrounds and stuff.
and the backgrounds are I guess that's the thing. Like, in addition to the budget being low, it seems like the art style chosen for the backgrounds is terrible. Maybe it's a way to save budget by adding other little splotchy things, but like, ugh.
See, I'm all nostalgic about it, so I don't even really see these things anymore.
Yeah, I guess
I'm just like, that's just the digital world, man.
I'm
Yeah.
watching nostalgia. And I noticed, so when Seedramon comes out of the lake in episode 3, like they never try, I guess this is hard to do, but they never animate the lake's water, except for like one scene where he's coming out and it's like, it's laughable. Yeah. And
I have nothing to contribute about this. Like, yeah, it's awful.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's all we have to
That's
say.
why we made
Yeah.
Podigious.
No. That's not the name I went with.
What?
What?
Isn't that what it is?
No, it's Digimon Gift Log.
Yeah, and then you made the tagline be Podigious.
Okay, that's not the name.
It should
Anyway.
be.
Yes, I have started a Tumblr about gifts from Digimon, and many of them are probably going to be laughable animation. Although the first one that I put up there is not that laughable to anyone aside from me. Ash, did you see it?
I thought it was
No.
pretty funny when it happened.
I shared it on when it happened, and then I made a GIF about it, and then like when I look at the GIF, I'm like, this isn't that bad. And then I shared it on Reddit, and I think it actually is now at -1 votes, as opposed to the Greymon grabbing one that I made, which got like, I don't know, like 50 or something.
50 upvotes, right?
Yes, upvotes. Yeah, but I'm like, so I guess people don't. In context, it looks so bad, but I guess out of context, just seeing a GIF, you're like, I don't know what's bad about it. Going to be available in the show notes, and then you can get to the blog from there and subscribe or follow it on Tumblr or whatever you do on Tumblr. I don't know what Tumblr is. How do we feel about the name Ty?
There's an interesting story because Ty's last name in the dub is Kamiya, right?
Yeah.
In the Japanese, it's Yagami, which means 8 gods or something. But they changed it because Yagami spelled backwards is I'm a gay.
Really?
Are you serious?
I believe that is why they changed it. Yeah.
What source do you have on this?
The internet.
All of the internet. But
Yeah,
then why
just
did
all
they
of it.
make it name?
Because he's Japanese.
I mean, so yeah, that's what seems weird to me, that they, with some of the names, went all out to make them sound English. I guess not that many, but I guess there's like Izzy and Matt.
Well, like,
Yeah.
they all actually keep their last names. They're all still Japanese last names. Izzy's
Except
name
for Ty.
actually... Well, yeah, but it's still a Japanese last name.
Right.
But Izzy's nickname is actually from his last name. Because his last name is Izumi.
Yeah. I guess I always wondered like where that came
Yeah,
from,
it
and
came
then
from
I thought it was a weird coincidence.
And
but-
TK is Takeru, so that makes sense. And Matt is the middle of Yamato, so whatever.
Yeah, I guess in this season they really don't go all out in any sense. They
No.
tweak a lot of the names.
Yeah.
But aside from it's not like as bad as
Season 2.
I'm thinking
Or
of-
season 3.
I'm thinking of season 6 with what is Taiki to Mikey.
Ain't nobody seen
Did they do
season
that?
6.
Yeah, Jeff, you're the only one that saw that in English.
No, I haven't seen it in English. I just know that his name is Mikey.
Oh, is it really?
That sounds
Yeah.
awful.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Although some of the names in the Japanese were already pretty unfortunate.
In which season?
6.
Like what? Kiriha.
That doesn't sound like a first name to me, first of all. But also, what was that kid's name with the sword?
I can't remember. I thought it was something like Takeru. Like
No, it started with a Z.
oh,
I remember that much. It was something ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, tangent.
Yeah. But yeah, the localization isn't bad in this one.
But I wonder, like, why did they think that Hikari was too Japanese, but Kari was okay? Like, why did they, tweak them a little bit?
Probably for the comfort of the actors, actually. Because Kari is easier for an English-speaking person to say than Hikari.
Yeah, it's true.
Properly. Tai is obviously easier than Tai Chi.
What did you...
And all the rest of them pretty much kept their names. Matt's obviously easier than Yamato.
Yeah, they went from, not all of them, but a bunch of them went from being several syllables and in Japanese pronounced a particular way.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't be able to get away with saying, I'm trying to think how, like, Yamato, someone could mispronounce.
Oh, God.
Or, I'm trying to think of how, like, Sakura.
Hi, Kari.
Yeah, right?
Okay, Hikari just sounds ridiculous, but I could see Yamato.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Matt, with Tai, they're all easy to, there's no way to mispronounce them.
I mean, there is, but it's harder.
Can you do it right now on the spot? Easy?
What am I pronouncing?
Any of the names wrong.
Carrie. Matt and TK are not half brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the dub, they're not half brothers.
So that made me wonder if that was like a translation issue. Was that a minor thing that the dubbers didn't, because they should have seen far enough ahead to like see where they're in Japan and
right.
they.
I'm wondering if maybe they didn't know if they were going to keep airing after episode 13 or.
Yeah, I guess they're. So I looked into this recently, and because I heard a rumor that in Japan the first 3 episodes were created as a test to see if it would succeed, and then the rest of it was created after, not after they aired, but in enough time so they could be consecutive, but that they were written in different chunks. And it seems like that rumor has no basis. So I didn't investigate this tons, but I asked about it on the With the Will forums recently. And the consensus seems to be that this has been something that's been discussed a lot and there's no real basis for that rumor. But then there's also the sub rumor, I guess, that, in Japan, they all were written as a whole and commissioned as a whole. But in America, they were going to air the 13 episodes and then decide. But that doesn't seem to have any basis either in sources.
It's interesting that Tai doesn't mention having a sister.
Yeah, especially when... Yeah, so to be clear, we're going to be talking about Kari's existence in this arc if they planned that. And yeah, there are obvious points. There's...
TK.
Episode 2... episode 2 is about Tai's reaction to Matt's treatment of TK.
Episode 3.
Sorry, yeah, episode 3.
Yeah.
And it just comes off as like... Looking back at it, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be getting all this, subtle detail about how it's about Tai seeing Matt and how he sees Kari, or because it seems like it'd be so easy to just say, I have a little sister.
right? I don't think they planned Kari.
But so, do you mean in the Japanese or in the English?
I think in the Japanese, they hadn't
No, but they
gotten all
totally
the way to
did.
Mayoru-san. Did they?
Right, because
Yeah.
the movie aired first.
The movie aired first.
Really?
And in episode 8, when they're all in their beds in the imaginary mansion, there is an 8th bed that is unoccupied.
Ooh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, so Ashley and I were discussing this, and we weren't sure. Like, there's an 8th bed that's unoccupied, and that fits perfectly. But is it just because, was it just for symmetry? Like, it could have just been for symmetry.
It could have just been for symmetry, and it doesn't fit the prophecy. That hasn't come up yet.
Is that in the...
Because Leomon hasn't talked about it yet.
So that's
Yeah,
in the
there's
next
two.
couple
There's two
episodes?
prophecies. Yeah. Leomon has a prophecy about the smallest Digi-destined, blah blah blah, and then Mayoru-san has his other prophecy about the 8th child.
Wait, so are you saying it doesn't fit because TK
I'm
wouldn't be the
saying-
smallest?
Yeah, Kari's smaller than TK. Oh no, she's not. At this point, Kari is taller than TK, isn't she?
I don't know.
I mean,
I think she is.
but even if it was just for symmetry, it's clearly, if they did the movie first, knew that Kari exists, and then put that in there, it could
Yeah.
still be foreshadowing, even.
Yeah, I didn't know they did the movie first.
Yeah, we trapped you.
Oh.
Yeah,
Got you to
Dun
say
dun.
something that's wrong on
I
a
said something
podcast.
that's wrong. I beg for forgiveness.
As you should.
Huh.
Now we've enlightened you. Your whole view of the world
Yeah.
is different now.
We've enlightened
Yeah.
him because Kari.
Ah.
Wow. I actually touched on this a little bit before, when I was talking about how each kid has a different method of facing a challenge, of facing a Digimon. And
Oh yeah,
thought it
I
was-
think I cut you off on that. Can you like finish going to that? Because I cut you off with the Agumon thing.
I mean, I can address it now. I
Yeah,
don't remember
okay.
what exactly I was saying then, but like, Tai rushes in to fight alongside of Agumon. Matt tries to distract Seadramon to protect his brother. Sora chases after Biyomon because she likes Biyomon and she feels protective towards her also, and they all want to keep the village safe. It's interesting how the kids are already going down the paths of their crests, because Izzy pulls his straight through figuring out the code in the pursuit of knowledge.
Sure.
What?
That's definitely what was supposed to happen. I thought that the way it was written did not convey that. The way it was written was Izzy found a code that made Tentomon burn up, and then later on, or found a code means, he like whatever. And then later on, Tentomon was like, "You should enter that code again because it'll make me digivolve." And he was like, "You're right," and then did it, and it worked, and that made no sense.
Oh,
And-
it made sense to me because the glowing light in Tentomon was the same color as the Digivice meter bars.
Yeah, I think I remember making that connection as a kid too. But logically, that doesn't, like, why was it hurting him before?
Because it was pure energy.
But why did it make him digivolve now? Why did he
the
need?
battery-
Why did he need that? Like, why couldn't?
The whole discovery of that episode was that knowledge is power. That information is power in the digital world. So entering the code that powers the factory powered his Digimon.
I can see that now. I can see how that's what they're trying for.
They messed it up in the dub. I don't know how it went in the sub.
Yeah. And
But
go on about.
yeah, okay. Joe's is harder to figure. It makes sense in the dub, actually, because he's trying to be the reliable one, but in Japanese, his crest is actually sincerity, isn't it?
No,
I
it's
believe it
it's
is.
reliability. In Japanese, it's faith.
Faith. Oh, okay. Then it still makes sense. Because he, takes it upon himself to go do what needs to be done, and even though he doesn't think it'll turn out well, but he does it anyway because it's the right thing to do.
I just found that all really weird. It felt like a very Thai thing to do, to just rash. It felt like he was being rash and not
Yeah, you really think
thinking
it was
through.
the right thing to do?
And then he triggered
It
Goemon's
was in his.
illusion.
I don't think it was the right thing to do, but
But he also jumped
in
on
his-
Unimon. Like, even in addition to climbing up, he
yeah.
put himself in danger like Thai.
Yeah. The thing with Joe is, like, where he was stuck was that he didn't want to risk everyone, but he did think it was a good idea to go on top and see what was there. He didn't agree with Ty's idea that they should all go, because what if they got attacked and they all died? But he didn't want to lose the chance to see what was there.
Yes, and then all of this logic falls apart when Ty and Sora just fly up on Bergermon. It's like, why didn't somebody just do that before?
Well, weren't the Digimon tired or something? I don't remember. It was
but they could have just waited.
But no, there is... Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Logic.
Yeah. But, yeah. Joe's is hard for me to hear exactly. And then Mimi's...
Hearts.
Yeah, that... I can't link Mimi's to her crest exactly, but I can certainly link it to her character arc. Because, later on, she ends up raising an army of Digimon.
I don't... What's her crest? I don't remember.
It's sincerity/purity.
Ugh, purity.
Yeah, I have issues with that, and I know that's why they changed that in the dub. But at the same time, it actually fits her better than sincerity does, so I'm torn.
Of course, because girls are always pure.
Well...
This is what Inuyasha taught me.
Oh. Yeah. Girls. Purification. Priestesses.
Yeah.
Kari.
Yeah. This is everything.
But yeah, it's interesting to me that that's how the champion level evolutions worked out. Because we don't know about the crests yet. I don't know if the dubbers knew, because they seem to slide some things in there, like Gabumon referring very strongly to... I lost track of that sentence somewhere. But Gabumon makes a very heavy-handed point of calling Matt his friend. And I think someone said something about Ty's courage at some point.
And I think Gomon calls Joe reliable. Did I make that up? I may have made that up, because I think I would have written that down. I didn't see it when I went through
I think you made that up. I
remember writing courage linked with Ty, though, so that probably happened.
Yeah. And I think they probably... And there was all that, affection, nuzzly stuff going on with Sora and Biyomon.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far they planned ahead with this, but it was interesting to me to see it, knowing that was going to happen. I also found it interesting that all that was required for the in-training Digimon to Digivolve was the presence of their partner. It's like each successive evolution takes more of a connection with their partner.
Takes more partner charge.
Pretty much. And it takes more of the kids discovering who they are. Instead of a mass of kids all feeling the same fear, it becomes personalized. Their power is personalized.
So I had some thoughts about the Digivolution itself, putting it in contrast with Pokemon, which the main thing I'm thinking of is the episode of Pokemon where I think there was like a bunch of Bulbasaur or something, and Bulbasaur, his Bulbasaur is ready to evolve, or not ready to evolve, but it was about this moral conflict of should Bulbasaur evolve and is he a different Pokemon then? And the conclusion was that no, Ash isn't going to evolve his Bulbasaur. And this Digimon, I think, teaches a better lesson that things have to change. That I'm thinking in particular of the first episode when they meet their in-training Digimon and then, within a couple minutes they Digivolve and become completely different Digimon. And they struggle with well, now you're a different person, right? But they're still happy about it, And I think that's so different from, oh no, you've changed. I feel like it's weird to teach children that you shouldn't change. It feels very repressive and...
Yeah, I've actually heard that put into words before, where Pokemon is a show about kids staying kids forever.
Yeah.
And Digimon is a show about kids growing up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's even true in there are so many things, but it's the season structure, and ideas. Digimon comes up with a new world every season. It's fresh with new things, and Pokemon does have new Pokemon, but
Ash is still 11 years
Ash
old.
Is still 11.
After how many years
he
now?
Explores the world for over 10 years, and he's still 11. That's fine.
Okay, I watched a video on YouTube about this once, and I recall there's a point where he has a birthday, and then later on they refer to his year his
It's actually in a
age?
movie.
Oh.
It's in a movie. It's not his birthday, actually. It's the 1 year anniversary of his meeting Pikachu.
Right.
It was, it wasn't Pikachu's vacation. It was the short before Pokemon 2000 when he goes and hangs out with,
Meryl?
the Pichu brothers.
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's what it was.
Well, this isn't a Pokemon podcast.
This is not a Pokemon podcast, but it was for comparison's sake.
So now that we're seeing this show as adults, what do you think about the jokes?
That they're really bad.
I feel like they get better later on. Maybe that's just my memory filming over.
You mean how a Pokemon doesn't get the pizza, he gets the crust?
I actually, the joke I associate with a Pokemon is he has hot and cold running water. But
What? What does that even mean?
Nothing
they were
that
trying
you
to
said.
explain his stupid. He has like a blue cord and a red cord running into him. I don't know.
So Ashley, the joke I'm referring to is he's supposed to be like this
Why
really
do
tragic
you get
figure.
the pizza when I get the crust?
Yeah, he's basically being
Oh
like,
my god.
I don't have friends or something. I don't know. Like,
It's very sad.
Okay.
yeah, basically. But I feel like it's strange because we talked about why they would change the names of the characters, and there are reasons for it. It makes sense. And I really don't see the reason to make the show full of jokes. It seems like the goal was to make it more attractive to a younger audience, to make it more enjoyable. But it just seems weird to me because as a kid, I never noticed the jokes. I never thought of Digimon as a show that was really humorous.
I did,
Yeah.
but not because of the jokes.
Really?
Yeah, I think for me, though, watching it now, I think a lot of it may be to fill quiet time that was in the original. I think there's a lot of times people just aren't speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like it was maybe there for the actors because I'd get bored, wouldn't you?
Oh, do your job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe the landscape has changed, but it seems like, just doing a straight drama show. It also seems like they weren't really delivered well either. It didn't seem like the actors were
No.
that good at delivering the jokes.
No. I don't
Yeah.
know. I like the jokes.
Because they have to fill
They're
up
bad.
space that some of them have to fill up space where there wasn't dialogue before. Like, it has to be hurried because it's just like a random shot that has to be full of dialogue. So it's going to say it really fast and one-off-ish.
So
Yeah.
why does it have to be contained with dialogue? I guess the thought is that it'll be boring and they won't like it. But it seems like if they want, I guess I was thinking for a younger audience, wouldn't they be turned off by so much dialogue and be confused? But I guess
No.
that's not really.
It doesn't matter if you don't get it. Like, I don't know.
There's so many jokes in so many things that kids don't
Yeah.
get.
But I feel like I didn't, as a 9-year-old, there was nothing that would have actually been over my head. But I guess it wasn't, the jokes were not over my head. I understood them. I did not find them funny. And it wasn't to the point where I realized how terrible they were. So maybe that was just that age wasn't the target audience, but
9 is totally the target audience.
I guess, do you think that the show would have been less successful if it didn't have those jokes?
I think it would have been a very different animal.
And I guess maybe I shouldn't be phrasing it in this way that's like, why did they do this? I'm thinking of it from more of like how did they get the biggest audience? And, maybe this was just an artistic decision on the translator's part.
I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but I think once they were on this road, they had to stick to it. And I think that makes the two shows very different experiences to watch. And I think it for me, it makes it a very rich experience going back and forth between the two.
Hmm.
So I don't know what would have happened if it had been different, but I know that I appreciate the way it is now.
Interesting.
And I think they get better at delivery as they go on.
I'm curious to see, if seasons like Tamers and Frontier, if they're also as laden with jokes.
I feel like Tamers wasn't.
Yeah, Tamers?
Frontier had some. Frontier took itself more seriously, though.
I felt like Tamers took itself more seriously, too.
No, yeah. Tamers took itself the most seriously.
That's why they're the best.
I mean, putting myself into young me, I actually think I would have liked the show more if it was more serious, just based on the trajectory of anime that I took. Like, I liked Escaflowne a lot because it was so much more serious than other cartoons.
Yeah.
And it showed me that, like, cartoons aren't just for silly laughs and children.
Which is what this feels like.
Yeah, which is what this feels like looking back at it.
For me, I don't... Well, I like humor a lot more than you do, Ashley.
Indeed.
Yeah, so for me, I think the fact that it was funny made the emotional scenes have a lot more impact for me. If it was all serious all the time, I would, there wouldn't be as much of a like emotional shift, and it wouldn't affect me as much.
I guess so. I feel like there are times though where that kind of falls down, like in how what are their names? The two Digimon that are like a pair that chase Mimi in the first season.
Chumon and Sukamon.
Right. And it's really tragic when they die in the first season, and then they never show them again in the first season. When they first show them in the second season, after everyone's been reborn, they're just chasing Mimi again, and it's played for laughs. And it's not like there's no reunion. There's no like, oh, it's really great to see you. We had this tragic moment where you died. Instead, it's just, oh no, they're chasing them.
Yeah, I actually don't remember seeing them again in season 2.
Well, people can write in and tell me I'm wrong. That's what I remember. I remember finding that totally strange.
They very well might. I don't.
I remember having the same issue with, I think Waymon makes an appearance in season 2, and it's not played for laughs, but it's kind of just like, oh, there's Waymon. But I'm like, Waymon's back, cool, and there's like, oh, it's Waymon.
There are deaths that are played very seriously, like Wizardmon.
Yeah.
Well, death singular.
Wizardmon.
Yeah.
Actually, when I went through it,
and Leomon actually.
Oh, poor Leomon.
Yeah. But that's what I find what's weird about the tonal. That's why I consider it tonally deaf. Is that season 2, Leomon should be alive again? Does he make an appearance?
No.
Like these characters that tragically die in season 1, they just kind of wipe the slate and like, oh no, they all come back.
They don't all come back at the same rate, do they? I never expected that to happen.
I mean, that's never been clear. Like, according to the mechanics they've discussed, they should come back as in-training Digimon, but do you expect that, like, the Waymon they meet actually, spent a couple years being an in-training Digimon and then became a rookie and then became a champion?
Yeah.
I know that seems like an aspect of the show they didn't really fully flesh out.
Yeah, it is.
And I think at that point when we start thinking about that, we're taking it too far. That's just something that you're not supposed to think about that detail. It's just sad that exists. One of the things the thing that I like the best about this 8 episodes, this mini arc, whatever, is all the weird stuff that they encounter. The phone booths, the forest of road signs, the trolley car, the electrical equipment in the lake with the trolley car, the utility poles in the desert.
Yeah.
The vending machines near Toy Town, the fridge. I feel like it gave a sense of like, this place is really weird.
It's the uncanny valley.
I guess.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's like familiar enough, but it's like, no, it's all weird. And
yeah, I like that too. And I like thinking back on what we said about the Digimon needing the kids to power them to help them grow. It's like the digital world doesn't exist without humans. It's born out of human information. And it makes sense that there has to be a symbiotic relationship between humans and Digimon that doesn't exist between other separate worlds that show up in Digimon sometimes.
Well, I just had a theory. I just thought of it while we were talking about later in the series, they at least pretend, I guess let's just say it's planned that the Digimon, the Digidestined were supposed to appear on File Island as a testing ground. And what I was going to complain about was that these weird things don't appear throughout the rest of the series, as far as I recall.
They kind of do.
They do?
Not as much, and they're not as commented on, but I mean, what are the pyramids doing in Edamon's thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's the pyramids, there's the Colosseum, but I viewed those as just like, we're in a desert, so they're pyramids, and we're on I don't know why there's a Colosseum, but those didn't seem particularly like strange.
There were soccer goals in
the Colosseum, yeah.
Yeah. That was strange. What else was there? I don't remember enough to comment exactly.
But I feel like it also... So my theory was that, they were supposed to be put on this island as a test, and in some weird way, some entity from the digital world, I don't know, Jedi or whatever, thought, oh, I'll give them a piece of home. And in this twisted way, like, it's totally not. And it's like...
That's interesting. It's interesting that he picked things that are electric also, because it would sort of imply that the digital world is aware of the human world where they intersect with electronics.
Hmm. Oh, do you think that... I feel like the adventure is more fantastic than other seasons. Or maybe not all other seasons, at least Tamers. I feel like the connections of, like, oh, it's a digital world and there's electronic connections, I feel like they're not really strong enough to go on.
Well, that's actually why I like it. I like that they're very subtle. And the rest of the world is just this crazy mishmash of color.
And poor backgrounds.
And poor backgrounds and weird
backgrounds.
fruit.
I mean, do you think that has
Weird,
anything
weird
to do
fruit.
with, like, our technological advances within the years that these anime were produced in the real world?
It's also true.
Yeah. Like, our
They didn't have
relationship
cell
to
phones.
technology would have changed rapidly within the years that this anime was produced.
Yeah, I mean, even the years directly after, like, I got the impression from Adventure and our War Game movie that basically in the years between the series and the movie, the internet became popular enough to have to reframe what the digital world was.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm still not really clear. I haven't seen the movie recently, but it seemed like they kind of made it out to be the digital world is kind of separate from the internet. The internet is kind of a digital world-like place.
I felt that the internet was a construct within the human world that Digimon could have access to if Genai put enough power into it.
That makes sense.
Like, yeah, the internet was this weird, amorphous, floaty place that wasn't really a world, but it was connected to a lot of things. It was connected to cash registers. I don't know about that. It's connected to Ty's mom's microwave.
Wait, really? When does that become obvious?
But it wasn't really, but like, Infirmon was making all sorts of electronics go haywire. And he wasn't present in the real world to do that, so I don't know.
I don't know, my impression of the way the Adventure series handles this, Adventure and Adventure 02, is kind of just sloppy. Like, it's like, oh yeah, data, electronics, digital world.
I like that about
I don't know. Like that it's sloppy or like that it's not heavy-handed?
Both. I like that it's weird.
But it's weird and it's not consistent. Maybe it is consistent, but there's not enough described. And I guess, describing all this, it makes sense to not describe all this in detail.
Yeah.
That's not the interesting part. But it would be the interesting part to me. That's partially why I like Tamers the best. And given what we know about Adventure 02, I wanted to talk about killing Digimon, which technically doesn't happen in these episodes that we're discussing. But I thought it was interesting because there are several Digimon they attack. So there's Seedramon. Seedramon sinks to the bottom of the lake after they attack him. Shellmon, they like blast off into the ocean. There was one more. What was the other Digimon that didn't have a black ear?
Uagamon.
Anyway, like they seem to be okay. The kids seem to be okay with not knowing that they're having these Digimon. And it's clear based on, I think Kuwagamon and Shellmon both return.
Actually, I have a point to make about that. None of those Digimon talk. We only start to meet other talking Digimon when black ears are introduced.
Huh.
Seedramon, Kuwagamon, and Shellmon all just make growling noises. They don't even shout out their attacks.
Although I did find it interesting. I think Tentomon at one point calls out Seedramon's attacks for him. And he's like, that's
his ice blast.
Yeah.
That's because Tentomon's great. But, yeah, like, those Digimon don't talk. They are very clearly monsters that are threats. They don't seem sentient. They don't even seem to be attacking the kids for a reason besides just annoyance.
That's a really good point.
Being beasts.
Yeah. And we don't actually meet any other well, no, we do. We do meet other Digimon that don't talk, and they are all also like more like animals than like sentient beings. And it's not a matter of power either, because even the little Yokomon all talk.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm trying to think, is it a matter of like a certain class of Digimon? I don't think, because I feel like, Seedramon, there is, does Mega Seedramon talk in Tokyo?
And Mega Seedramon talks and Metal Seedramon talks. And I believe there may be a Seedramon in season 2 that talks. Because doesn't, what's his name? Michael he has a Betamon that evolves into Seedramon.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah, I feel like it helps a lot in setting up because they don't need to. It's kind of more. It's justified attacking these things because they need to defend themselves, and they're not. For them to be attacked by these Digimon, they either have to be monsters that are just aggressive or they have to be sentient and be super evil. Huh. So my original point was that it seems strange, given what we know about Adventure 02, that they don't have any qualms about possibly killing these Digimon. But I think that makes sense because they don't talk. They don't consider them sentient.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, how many sentient Digimon do they end up killing in season 1?
I mean,
there's
quite a few, especially in the Dark Masters arc.
Because I mean, obviously the main villains, are there henchmen that they kill?
Lady Devimon, Cherrymon. There's just a lot of death in the Dark Masters arc.
Yeah. Although, death in Digimon is its own topic.
Yeah. Their data just gets reconfigured.
But actually, now that I think about it, in Adventure 02, the topic of death comes up when they're in the real world. But so isn't there a consistent, maybe not theory, but rule of Digimon in these 2 seasons that if they die in the real world, then they die for good, like Wizardmon?
I don't think that can possibly be true because Myotismon came back.
Yeah, but he infected a human. He also came back twice. I mean, he's special.
He's great. Yeah, I don't know. That might be true. Did Pumpkinmon and Gatsumon ever come back?
They just were sent to a dungeon. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, they died.
They were sent to a dungeon.
They died.
According to my dub.
They died, okay? They totally 100% died. Oh yeah, Ashley, you wanted to complain about Tai.
Oh yeah. I do want to complain about that, actually. I just hate this trope. Like, in episode, is it 3 again? I don't know. When...
I think I'm thinking of 2.
Is it 2?
With Shalmon? Yeah.
With Shalmon, yes. So there's a time where they're like, we don't have any food. And then they find some food. And of course, Joe and people are like, oh, we should divide it up equally. But Tai and Agumon eat food and are like, whatever. So then when they get attacked by Shellmon, Greymon is Agumon is the only one who can digivolve into Greymon. And it's like, so they were rewarded for being stupid. And I just really hate that trope. I feel like it's in a lot of other things. Maybe it's just because Jeff has been watching, what's it called?
Is it called? What are you talking about?
I should know what it's the funny cop show.
Oh, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the main guy pisses me off too because it's always, there's a very definitive leader. He's the main character. They make reprehensible decisions, are rewarded for them, sort of in the end learned a lesson, but I feel like the reward overrides, at least partially, the lesson of you did not do this correctly.
Okay, I take issue with Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I think if you watched all of it, you'd see that he doesn't get directly rewarded for it. Like, in this way, Agumon eats all of the food and is directly rewarded for that, and he can be the hero. But and then it's like, he is a goofball and is kind of punished for that usually and has to not really overcome it, but I think it's separate. Yeah.
I mean, on one level, it makes sense from I've been taking a morality class perspective of there's a line you need to draw evolutionarily to be I'm going to be selfish now because I want to survive. And then the selfish people are the ones who survive more. So on that level, it makes sense. But I just feel like in this more civilized society that we live in, we should...
Did you say from an evolutionary perspective?
Yeah.
I think you mean a digivolutionary
yes, from a digital... Yes, but it always really bothers me because it's also then they became a leader by just happenstance. If Biomon had eaten food, then she could have been the leader.
Okay, I don't think it's true that whoever digivolved first would become the leader.
Right.
I think it'd be one thing I thought was really interesting. Once I formed my notes, was that they're really in these 8 episodes they really stick to some rules about only digivolving once per day. So if they didn't have that rule and once Agumon digivolved, he could just take down anything, I would agree with you. But he's kind of powerless for several episodes, and I don't think that makes him the leader.
Well, that is what
Tai gets punished. Tai gets punished for this behavior later.
Later, but we're not later.
He gets away with it this time.
Right. Well, I think that segues into the progressions of Digivolution is then it does get confusing whether you're oh, I guess Greymon and Tai are the leaders, but then it feels because then they are slightly powerless each time, and it seems like the enemies ramp up in difficulty because of that. And then the later people seem stronger, I guess. Except probably Terramon, because his fight was just, I maintain that his fight was extra lame.
So many of these fights are extra lame. But I think it's true in that there are many fights where other Digimon help out. Like Greymon and Garurumon were able to take out Shellmon and Seedramon on their own. Well, okay, this is a bad example because Andromon's ultimate. But there are a couple examples.
Andromon's not an ultimate.
Andromon.
He's not an ultimate.
He is.
No, he isn't.
He is.
Yeah, you did say this.
Earlier podcast.
Andromon?
Andro.
Oh, Andromon. Yes. Sorry. Yes, he is an ultimate.
Right. So, but there is another. Oh, yeah. I guess Birdramon and Greymon help attack Unimon. They can't defeat Unimon, but then Ikakumon does.
Yeah.
But I think that's a matter of strategy. Like he's able to, shoot out the harpoon torpedo, which then bursts and hits him from behind.
Yeah.
But it does give the impression that there are, like, the ones that come out later are stronger. I don't know.
It gives that impression.
Got that.
I don't know. It gives that impression when it's hard to not get that impression when it's like these two Digimon can't beat this one Digimon.
Yeah.
Oh, this new one didn't want to attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. I guess as a kid, I already assumed that all of them were equal.
Equality. What is it's ridiculous.
I watched a lot of Power Rangers, okay?
Do you think this arc is a good introduction to Digimon?
Yeah, because the kids don't know anything, and neither do we.
I guess I'm also curious, when did you guys see what episode was your first?
Episode 1.
My God,
Ashley?
I don't even know. Somewhere in the middle, because I just watched
Of this? Or the whole season?
Because I just watched the reruns on Fox until they started at the beginning again.
What about you, Jeff?
Mine was episode 2. So yeah, I think I sidestepped.
I think I saw episode 1 and then I missed a few and then I went back during reruns. It was very.
I think these first 7 episodes especially or like episodes 2 through 7 are all like own separate story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very episodic, and each has its own setting. I find it actually interesting in that they own setting, but they also they make sense narrative. Like they always start off where they like the episodes. How to describe it? It's like they crossfade almost.
Yeah.
Like they always end on some note and then begin on that note and then go to a new place.
To compare it to Pokemon again, like they don't just start walking in the middle of a wood. You already knew where they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rewards you for watching all of them, but also they're still just as you can just watch one in the middle, and you might be kind of confused, like who else can Digivolve now? I don't know, but it doesn't. I guess what's effective is that it doesn't end up really mattering.
Yeah.
Like the character who that episode is about is always the one who's going to Digivolve in that episode. So
right,
and I think it also like the weirdness is intriguing. The telephone booth and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty effective. Aside from the first episode has 21 different characters being introduced.
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming and boring.
Like, I just wonder, as a kid, would I have been able to, pick up on those 21 different names?
Doesn't even matter because they Digivolve to something else at the end.
Well, I mean, no, 7 of those are the...
Oh, yeah.
There are 7 kids and 7 in-training Digimon and 7 rookie Digimon.
Well, with the rookie Digimon, you get more chances to learn their names later, but I definitely did not know the in-training names.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised by how many of them I remember now.
Well, I know all of them now.
I don't remember them all now. But, like, some of them, like Motimon, I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely got Motimon and Koromon and Sunamon.
Really?
I don't know why those. Like, Motimon... Is it Mochimon?
Because you see... Yes. I think in Japanese it's Mochimon. Because it looks like mochi. But I think it's because you see them a lot again. Motimon comes back in the Crest arc. Sunamon and Koromon. Well, Koromon comes back a lot. Sunamon comes back.
Well, both Sunamon and Koromon come back a lot, don't they? Whenever they make
Koromon comes back more than Sunamon, but Sunamon, he shows up a lot.
Yeah, Koromon's kind of like iconic.
Yeah.
So Sunamon is orange. He's very distinct color.
Yeah, he's very distinctive. Yeah. The rest of them almost all of them are pink. Well, that's not true.
Mimi's isn't pink though. Isn't that shocking?
Yeah, Mimi's is green.
Yeah.
And I always liked Tanemon.
Okay, so to everyone who is listening for the first time, which is everyone because this is our first episode.
This is our second episode.
Okay, it's our first episode where we actually discuss the show directly. We know it's what we're watching of lines that we thought were particularly ridiculous, either funny or terrible, or funny because they're so terrible. Sometimes puns, sometimes not puns, and we're going to go around and like a sports team draft, we're going to have 3 or 5 slots.
3.
3. Okay.
I don't have enough for 5.
Well, I have enough for 5.
I
So we're
didn't
gonna
want to
be-
write them.
We're going to be competing to pick these, to pick our favorites.
So if I'm picking first, then I'm doing.
No question, man. You are the dude of doodles.
Oh, that was also on mine too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. I knew that would be on everybody's.
And for everyone who hasn't seen it recently, this is in reference to Ty is drawing a map, I believe.
Yes.
In episode 8, yes.
Of the island.
And I don't,
And it was
is Matt complimenting him or making fun of him? I
No,
don't
he's
know.
making fun of him. It's awful.
Yeah, this map is awful. It's not even a map. It's just pencil on a paper. Like
It's not even that.
Yeah.
Words cannot describe. Jeff, go find a picture of it and put it in the notes.
Alright, I get to go now, Jeffrey, and say the thing.
You guys are stealing all my stuff.
Yeah. Alright, so one of my favorites is while they're fighting Unimon, right?
Yeah.
Ty says
It's after. Yeah.
Greymon gets knocked down, and then
Oh,
Ty
yeah, I have this one too.
Ty says
Raymond, are you gonna be all right?
I'm styling, dude.
What?
and it's like, what just happened? We had to literally rewind it to be like, did he just say I'm styling, dude? And he
Yeah.
totally did.
I'm being way too
Yeah.
loud.
So I think that line must be iconic to certain fandom people because I posted a GIF on Reddit that was Greymon grasping up, and I'll put that in the show notes. And someone replied, like only 2 people replied, and one of them was just a quote, "I'm styling." dude." So like he recognized that it was the same fight, and
I mean, it's just so ridiculous.
yeah, can't believe you guys took my number 1 and number 2 picks.
Just, we know funny when we see it.
Luck of the draw. Okay, so my first pick then is and Ogremon and Leomon are being introduced, and they each describe each other. Ogremon, Leomon is saying,
Your kind-hearted leadership is unimpressive.
Oh yeah.
which was not my number 1 pick, but thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, so I get to go again?
Mm-hmm.
So this is from episode 4, and Mimi's speaking, and she's like,
Hey, remember those phone booths and that streetcar?
Yeah? What about him?
Oh, nothing. I was just wondering if anybody else remembered.
It was so good though.
and I was just like, you're great. Mimi, you're a beautiful treasure.
That was a particularly good
So,
one.
so to be clear, we actually think that's genuinely funny, right?
I think it's genuinely funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I get to go.
Yeah.
In episode 2, when I guess they're just discussing going home and whether the parents are trying to find them, Gomamon says,
Parents? What exactly is a parent?
I love
haha,
Gomamon.
grammar.
He's the best.
Like,
He is the light of my life.
I like his orange hair.
In my notes, it says, Gomamon is literally the best. And then underneath it, it says, life-saving events, 1, 2, 3.
What?
I was counting all the times that he was useful.
Yeah, still just like his orange hair.
I did not know he had orange hair.
Oh my god.
So my next pick is this is from episode 1. Yeah, I was confused about my notes, but no, it's episode 1. It's right after the Digimon first go into their rookie form. And I guess they attack Kuwagumon once and he falls down and they think they've won. And Tentomon turns to Izzy and says,
How about that super shocker? Pretty wizard, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I think I also had to rewind that and be like, wizard? Like the noun?
Oh, good lord.
Your last pick.
Oh, okay, I found one. This one I have with a note in the margin that says, Joe, you are the heart of my life. And it says,
I just don't like to eat on an empty stomach.
Do you remember that it's from?
it's from episode 4. Oh, it's when the Yokomon are trying to feed them the birdseed.
Oh, right. I think I remember hearing that and was like, Joe.
I love Joe. I love all the characters that everyone hated when they were 10.
Oh man, I don't know which one to choose.
It's your last one.
No.
Actually, I know which one you're going to choose.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't think you do, actually.
But then you're forgetting the one that you want to choose.
No, I'm looking at both of them, and I'm like, actually, I think this other one is funnier. I don't know. Well, it's from episode 5 when Izzy is talking about aliens. Ty says, when Izzy's like playing on his computer, Ty says,
Maybe he's asking them to beam him up.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Why is that funny? I don't get it.
Isn't it a reference to Star Trek?
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
I mean, it's also I guess that's the like it's also just a trope of alien.
I guess, but I think
guess
the
the words
word,
beam him up. But I don't get it. Like it's not funny on like it's just a Star Trek word.
It's not funny out of context. I laughed a little when it was happening.
I definitely laughed when it happened.
Okay, my last pick is kind of funny because it's so ridiculous, but I don't think it'll work out of context because I'm really not sure what was going on. It's more just like what, and it's in episode 3. I believe it's the episode where they find the lake and camp in the trolley car, and I believe it's before they go to sleep. They're like inspecting around the lake, I think. And Palmon like helps Mimi find something.
I'd be a big mess without you, Palmon. You're the best. Stop.
I don't know what she's saying.
Yeah, I have no idea what she says either. I
wrote
wondered
down
about
Gustav.
this. I have wondered about this for like 15 years.
Literally.
Well, not quite. Be 14 years, wouldn't it? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, so those are our picks.
Here, I'm going to say the one that Jeff thought I was going to say because I know exactly what it is. It's from episode 3 after Garurumon has defeated Seadramon, and Matt says,
You know, you were the man.
And you're the wolf man.
There was so much "you're the man" going on between episode 2 and 3. I was like, nobody's the man anymore.
Wait, so
need to
in
stop saying
episode
that.
3, like Tai calls Agumon the man, and then like 10 seconds later, Gabumon calls Matt the man. I'm like,
Yeah,
were you just like overhearing and repeating? Like what?
yeah. It was odd.
You can find the show at podigious.com or on iTunes, and you should subscribe on iTunes and leave us a review. We'd
And follow our
greatly
Twitter.
Appreciate that. Yeah, follow us on Twitter at Podigious. Yeah, and we're a really new podcast with not much of an audience, and it would really help if you rated us on iTunes because that would help us find new people. Whatever small percentage of people there are out there that would be interested in the Digimon podcast, we want to find them all. So yeah, and we'll be back for episode 3 talking about the rest of the Devimon arc. All right, see you then. Bye.
Bye. I lost my train of thought there.
You mean your Locomon of thought?
Yes, I lost my trailmon of thought.
No, in episode 5, Tai and Agumon go to punch someone. I can't remember who it is, but they get out of the way and they end up punching each other. And I'm pretty sure that's
It was Izzy. They were going to
Oh.
punch his computer.
right.
oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's foreshadowing for Sabers.
That's not foreshadowing because they hadn't written Savers
It's
yet.
foreshadowing for
That's
Sabers.
not how
Yeah, that's
foreshadowing
not how
works.
It's foreshadowing.
You're foreshadowing.
And the true statement of the week is a quote from Matt in episode 7, where he said, "Has anyone noticed? We talk a lot about food."
Yeah, I know. That was so funny. I was like, yes, you do.
Yeah. So it's the 7 humans, the 7 human? What's the plural of human?
Humans.
Yeah, what?
With
Are
an
you
S.
sure?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're talking too much. Okay, so there are 7 humans. Are you sure?
Yes.
Yes.
There are 7 kids and 7
crying.
in training Digimon.